Yes, sir. So welcome back to the Dropping Dimes podcast. We are once again joined by my former student Jonas De Guzman, and
Yes, sir.
welcome back to the show, Jonas.
Thank you, sir, for having me
yes,
again. It's been a
yeah.
while.
Yes, it's been actually 4 months since we released an episode. Last episode was last February. Okay,
Ooh,
so so for
it's
today,
been a while.
we'll just be talking about the NBA playoffs. We'll be sharing our thoughts and then eventually our bold predictions. Especially because it's been really, to say the
Interesting.
least, interesting.
Interesting. Yes.
And there have been a lot of surprises as well. Okay,
Yes,
so
sir.
let's start. Where do you want to start, Jonas? Let's start first
Sige,
with
sige, sir.
East,
Ikaw bala.
sige, Eastern Conference tayo.
Oh,
Simulan natin.
oh my
For,
God.
first, syempre, doon tayo sa number 1 versus number 8.
Ooh.
Okay,
Sixers
so
versus
yeah.
Wizards.
Yes, the Sixers versus the Wizards. So, little background. The Wizards made the playoffs via the play-in. They were able to survive, even though they lost to Boston, but then they were able to beat the Pacers and get into the playoffs. Okay, so they battled the Sixers. What were your thoughts regarding the series? This was a 5-game series, ended
Well,
easily.
very expected, I think, yung outcome, sir. Although, nung game 4, I watched that game, medyo nakaka-worry for Joel Embiid. Yeah, he injured his right knee. Although it appeared yung hip yung injury, pero knee daw. So, yun
Yeah,
yung interesting part siguro nung series for me.
meniscus no?
Yes,
Meniscus
sir.
daw. Pero parang hindi naman yata siya ganun ka severe, no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was even able to play. Ngayong second round, naglalaro na uli si Joel Embiid.
And we'll talk about it later kung ano nangyari ng first game. Pero after the series, medyo I think bleak yung future po ng Wizards. I don't know what will happen to Beal especially. I think it's gonna be interesting off season for them.
Okay, do you think they should trade Russ?
I think they can push for another run next season. I think Beal and Westbrook found something late in that season. They made a run. They won a lot of games, although they started like I think 17-32. Eventually, they turned it around and they found something there. I think they just need to find good shooting around them because they lack that aspect in their team. I don't know. So we'll see about it.
Okay, so just like what Jonas said, the outcome was pretty expected. Sixers winning it in 5 games. Let's now go to the next series. Number 2,
Number 7.
Brooklyn Nets versus the Boston Celtics. This was also a very easy series for the Nets,
That's
especially because Jalen Brown wasn't around. There were some injuries as well.
Kemba Walker didn't
Kemba
play
Walker
the other
that
games.
wasn't really healthy. So I think it was pretty much expected that the Nets breezed through the Boston Celtics.
But that series showed me the big three is for real. I mean, my God, I was speechless. I think that was game 4 where they combined for 104 points. Oh, that was just insane.
Yeah, but I think another one, I mean, if we're going to focus on the Celtics this time around, it also showed that they actually have a bona fide superstar in
Oh,
Jason Tatum, right?
15. Oh, the 50-point game. That was great. I saw that game.
Yeah, but just like what you brought up last time, the future is also a little uncertain. Danny Ainge,
Oh, Danny is
yeah,
gone.
retiring, and then We don't really know how Brad Stevens will do as a
Front
GM.
office,
Yeah,
yes.
that's he's always been a very good coach. I don't know about his GM skills. That's a totally different story right there.
There's a lot of candidates to choose from for that coaching position. Well, so
Yeah. So who do you think should be the best fit for them? There's a rumor that it may be Kara Lawson.
hmm,
But I think that will
hmm.
be such a big risk,
Yeah, very
especially if
risky.
yeah, because especially Jason Tatum is this is the time that you try to show him that you can build a team around him,
It's
right? And
I
so
think
that he
it's his
will
team now. It's like it showed in the playoffs. He should build around Tatum, and he's very young, so he can still improve on his game more.
yeah. Then now I have a question for you, Jonas. I think this was brought up also. Do you think it's time for the Celtics to say that, you know what, we tried this out, Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum? Is it time to,
Oh no no no!
probably build the team around Tatum, get some assets for Jalen Brown, get some
I
assets from Kemba Walker, and just
I
build
don't.
totally around Tatum?
I'm not sure about Jalen Brown since he was injured this towards the end of the season. I think you can still make a case for Tatum and Brown to be in the team to because they're still pretty young. They can still improve their game. I think you just need to build around them, surround them with good role players. I'm not sure about Kemba Walker though. He's been injury prone the last 2 or 3 seasons, so it's very interesting to see what the Celtics as a whole do with their team, especially with the front office and the coaching jobs being changed. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
this is just well, I just heard this. I don't know if it was I think it was Kenny Smith who said this. That or Draymond probably. It's either Kenny Smith or Draymond Green. I'm sorry, I can't remember fully. But then they were telling everyone that it's hard for Jalen Brown to actually at his age right now, 23, 24, and say, you know what, I'll just be the second guy behind Jason Tatum. Guys like Dwayne Wade, when he did that for LeBron, he already
If
accomplished a lot of things, right?
yeah, it
Prior
was
to
a
that.
huge yes.
And so this is kind of tough for any one
Young.
from the Celtics to ask a guy like Jalen Brown. So you know what? You need to like step back a little bit and defer, to Jason Tatum
To
so
Jason
so
Tatum.
that
Yes,
so that it will be his team. So I think that will be for me. That's I
that's a
agree with that.
factor.
Yeah, and I think that would be something that Brad Stevens might consider as well.
And
Okay, so let's proceed to the next series. What's the next
the
series?
Bucks, the Bucks
Yeah,
versus the
and
Heat.
the
Oh,
Heat. Oh my goodness, this ended easily. This was a massacre.
I
Bucks get
expected a
there,
much longer series.
but let's face it. A lot of people were giving credit to the Bucks. They got
Yes.
Drew Holiday, but now in the second round, as we can see, they're not really. Let's face it, they're not really that good. If we're gonna think about it, right? It's like the only upgrade that they really had was to change Bledsoe with Drew Holiday. It just so
Drew
happened
Holiday.
that I don't know if you agree with me, but it just so happened that in the first round they faced a Miami Heat team that just didn't look like the Miami Heat team that we saw in the bubble. Do you agree?
Well, I think most of the last 4 teams, probably except the Nuggets, although Jamal Murray is injured, but the last 4 teams, the Lakers, the Miami, and the Celtics, they all got eliminated in the
Bounced.
first round.
They got bounced
Yeah,
in the
they
first
got
round.
bounced.
Yeah.
And I think in the short off season took a toll on all of those teams.
Yeah.
I think Miami just didn't have enough time to gel again, and there were injuries during the season, especially Jimmy Butler. So he didn't even have a good series. He had an awful series.
Yeah. A
From what I
really
saw,
awful
yeah,
series. Like
yeah.
if you're gonna base his, let's say, his 2K ratings from that
Oh my
series, it
goodness.
will really go down hard. But then, I don't
Yeah,
want to
yeah,
blame the Heat as well. Just like what you said, they had a very short
yeah.
off season. They had a lot of
Yep.
injuries. And then the guy that they added, Oladipo, was out even before the playoffs. So it was kind of expected that they would. I just thought that they would probably had more, or they would have like more fight in them to maybe at least go to 6 games. But then I
To
was
at least win a
surprised that
game.
yeah, at least
Yeah,
get a gentleman
yeah,
sweep, like make it reach 5 games. But then they got swept, and I think if you
I think
saw
the
games
oh yeah,
3 and 4, they were just getting blown out. Like
blown out in
yeah,
their
they weren't.
game. Oh,
Yeah, they weren't there anymore, right? Like after losing the first two
yeah.
games, especially after losing game one.
The
That
yeah, game
tough,
one they had a
yeah, right.
chance. Yeah,
And then Chris Middleton
I
hit
think
the shot.
that's a game winner. Yeah, and Bucks struggled there.
Yeah,
The 3-point shooting was bad, but Miami
they
didn't
won.
really capitalize. Yep.
But do you think if they got, let's say, game one, do you think it would have been a different series? Just
I think
hypothetically.
so. Yeah, I think so. I think Miami will have that confidence going to the later games. So, but that game one loss, I think it changed everything for them.
Yeah, it
And
changed the
the following
complexion.
game, and the following game, they gave up I think 46 points in the first quarter. It was
Yep.
over after the first quarter. So yeah,
Yeah,
it
so
changed a lot for them.
I agree. So it's like that first round series between the Heat and the Bucks was actually over after Chris Middleton hit that buzzer beater
Hit that
in
game, yeah.
game winner in game
Game
one,
one.
right? Yeah.
Yes,
So now let's
I
proceed
agree.
to the next one. This is the four
Oh,
and five
I'm
series.
disappointed in this one. I'm very disappointed in the outcome of this one.
Why? Why disappointed?
I had the Knicks in 7. I thought the Knicks had a good team and a good defensive team, but I underestimated Trey Young and Nate McMillan's adjustments. Trey Young was amazing in that series. I was shocked with what happened.
Look, I have kudos to the Knicks. They had a great season. Julius Randle had a great season. Congratulations to Coach
Coach
Thibs
of the
for
year,
yeah.
yeah.
I was actually confused with that one, Jonas. I really thought it was already Monty Williams who was named Coach of the Year,
Oh,
but then
I think that
I
was
got
yeah.
confused. Like, how come it's Thibs now? I was surprised that all of a sudden it was Thibs.
The
What happened
no
there?
the first one was voted by coaches alone, like coaches association.
Oh,
That
okay.
was
So
the Monty Williams. Yeah,
that caused the
the
confusion,
media.
though.
Yeah, the
But the
media voted for Tibbs.
Oh, okay. So thank you for clarifying that. I got confused. Like, what the hell happened? I really thought Monty Williams was the coach of the year. So
I,
anyway, let's go to the
yeah,
Knicks.
yeah.
No, let's go to the Hawks rather. I also
The
said that
Hawks. Whew.
no one is giving love to Nate McMillan, but the Hawks, I really had them as one of my, when I stopped making the episodes. So I of course I had to focus on my work. I and
Yeah.
then, and then but I really wanted to peg the Hawks as my biggest disappointment or the biggest downer of the season. They were really
Oh yeah.
playing bad, right? They weren't supposed to make the
Yes.
play in. And then they made that coaching change.
Coaching change. Yeah, that
And
changed
then
a lot for them.
yeah, and then all of a sudden they started winning, and yet Nate McMillan doesn't get enough credit. For me,
Yeah.
he deserves the credit. Trey Young is Trey Young, yes, fine. But then the Hawks actually started playing better defense, even though it's like I'm not saying they're a great defensive team all of a sudden now, but then the major problem really was their defense, right? And then I think Nate McMillan was able to, make ample adjustments to help the
Yeah.
Hawks play better defense and, get them some wins there. And thus, they ended up beating the Knicks. And then how about the upset win against the Sixers, right? Game one,
Oh, I think
128
we'll
to
talk about
124. We'll talk about that
the
later.
first. Yeah, but yes, that was a good game.
Yeah, Trey Young was again amazing in that game. So that's for the East. So far, I think the biggest surprise is probably the Hawks winning in
Yeah,
five.
the Hawks Knicks.
I think we all thought that
That's
would
the
be like
surprise.
we thought. Well, I thought the Knicks
It's a
would
close.
win.
I thought it was.
Did you think the Knicks would win?
I thought that.
Yeah.
I thought it would be. Yeah, I had them in 7. That's
Yeah, I
my
also
early.
had
That was
them.
my early prediction.
But then for
I
the
think it's a
other
good
series,
season
it's
for
not.
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other series was pretty easy to pick.
Yeah, and then they were kind of, what we thought would be. No surprises there.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
let's go to the Western Conference.